You're not getting proper, so what's your plan B? I think this is a feasible plan B if you're going for a win in the Overwatch League.
This is not a mid DPS. Surely this is not a mid. This is way above mid, right?
It's a good DPS. Like, this is a DPS line that, like, should be in contention for, like, stage playoffs. Yeah, Dominators.
Gladiator, boom, boom, Gladiator. Marco Rubio's favorite team. All right, welcome to the 2022 Overwatch League team previews. North America. We'll talk about one of the most popular teams. Certainly your favorite Los Angeles team, I think. I think it's pretty safe to say that.
Yeah.
It's none other than the LA Gladiators, where this guy right here is back. Space. He's back on the team. And LA Gladiators have kind of looked as stacked as ever. I mean, some of the best parts of the team remain. Space, Shoe skewed. Fantastic players. Kevster's still there. MVP caliber. I mean, when you have an MVP caliber playing a team, you're already singing the praises, you know. So he made a role star, didn't he? Is Kevster a role star or not? Was it
that is a good question.
I forgot.
Look.
Can't remember.
I think so.
Can't remember. So you have a roster that has 3 very interesting DPS players. One of them is a clear MVP candidate.
Yeah.
One of them is Arns, who had one of the biggest years of DPS ever in the history of Overwatch League.
Yes.
And I think forever we are pining for the same level of performance out of Arns, and maybe he'll get there. You have Patiphan, one of the most sort of talked about, and at one point would have been one of the most hyped up rookies, and now kind of still hyped for, but for some other reasons rather. And yeah, it's a little bit unclear, maybe a bit of a question mark. He does come over from a different game, although he was quite successful in Valorant. Sadly, unlike Arns didn't quite do well in Valorant. Patiphan killed it.
Yeah.
We have the tank line, new main tank. Space returns. Ryan is here from AT. Funny Astro comes over in the support from the Philadelphia Fusion. Great pickup. I mean, if you're going to go for a Western or just any main support, Funny Astro is one of the top picks you could potentially go for. So overall, I mean, the team goes from strength to strength across the board. Let's start with the DPS line. 3 players, 1 MVP candidate. Was he a role star? Did we confirm that?
Yes, he was a role star.
And a DPS role star.
Should have been as well. Yeah.
I like Kevster. I like the peaks that Ons can bring. I liked Patiphan in the past. There is a lot of question marks with this DPS trio. And none of them have to do with Kevster, to be fair. That I will say. I've been converted to the church. I am indoctrinated. I am a Bible-thumping Christian Kevster stan. I agree. He's fucking cracked. He's nuts. I haven't seen all the flexibility, but I trust and believe that he could probably do it. I don't know if Ons can reach the same peaks. I don't know if Patiphan has what he did when he was playing on like the Paris Academy team or in Contenders in any facet. Ergo, I am a little concerned.
Isn't that concerning though? I mean, they still have one of the best DPS lines in the league, surely. On paper.
On paper? Yeah.
On paper, I would agree. I would love, I want to see peak Ons saddle up with Kevster and just pound.
What if it wasn't peak Ons? What if it's just like an average
mid
Ons?
Still... I think it's good. I don't know if it's like...
Because the problem, Joe, is peak Ons is like the best hit scan the world has ever seen.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, I mean, like mid Ons...
But that's like the lens that I feel like everybody is prescribing him, and it's like I don't think like that's like, something you can replicate.
Is it awful? Like, oh, okay,
it's not awful.
So it's like Ons. Oh, Ons is not the greatest hit scan in the league. Is that the worst fucking offense? I don't understand. Like,
it's definitely not. It's definitely not the worst offense. It's definitely like good. But there are like holes that duo doesn't fill. Right, like. Ons is a dedicated hit scan player. If you need a tracer and a flex, if you need a flex and a hit scan, cool, you've got that covered. I do not think Patiphan is somebody that I would put my money on. Just from the outside looking in, I know that there are plenty of coaches that are well acumened and trust in can see the inner workings of the scrims. I get that. From my position, I do not trust Patty. Just can't. I will be happily be proven wrong. But at this point today, I cannot.
Onto a person that does trust Patty. Go on, Yiska.
I think here's my question. You have more money than the Queen.
Sure.
Are those, and I'm not sure if that's true, it's actually, bear with me. Is that the true DPS that you go for? Like, okay, you're probably not getting proper. That's fair. You're not getting the O2 boys. I think the Shock got their claws in sometime last season. They were not going to lose grip there, right?
Yep.
Then again, I think you can compete for almost every single other DPS player that isn't on the Shanghai Dragons. So do you go on Patty based on that? Now, Patty seems like a face thing, and I trust him there. It's a gamble, I feel like. And on
because he gambled on skewed and got that right, but
yes, very fair point. And it's probably the best time for Patty to get in, also with Overwatch 2.
Agreed.
Arn's like already, like Arn's feels like he always has one foot in retirement. And that has been true for Arn's forever. Right? Mm-hmm. So that is kind of scary. I get it though. Like, it feels like after this season for Glads, you're like, I can have another very good season, or I can hit all my peaks and then I have a chance against the Shanghai Dragons. And if your ultimate goal is to win the Overwatch League, you probably make the place that has the highest upside. You're not getting proper, so what's your plan B? I think this is a feasible plan B if you're going for a win in the Overwatch League. If you're going for highest possible win rates on paper, I think I choose a different DPS line other than Kevster, who of course would be set.
It feels like they are choosing based on, like you sort of said, where the highest potential is, and we've seen the highest potential for Arns, and I think there's a lot of belief that Patiphan's potential is also super high. I mean, I think I remember casting him in Gauntlet in 2019. He was like the only other player that I felt like was holding his own versus Sparkle in a Doom meta.
Right. Agreed.
And that's only one of Patty's. Patty was a super flexible player, played a whole bunch of roles. He had hit scan and projectile, including Widowmaker. I mean, I've seen Patty at his peak in Overwatch, and I know he was crazy good. He was just too young. He was just so young. If it wasn't for that fact that he was young, he would have been in the league after Gauntlet 2020. He would have been in 100%. He was that good. But, story of Patiphan is that Overwatch kind of failed him as a game because he had nothing to do in Tier 2. He had nowhere to play. Pacific region was dead. He literally couldn't compete anywhere because he lives in Thailand. It's just unlucky, right? You're bound. I mean, we talk about Europe as being a bit of a dead place for contenders in Overwatch. I mean, fucking imagine if you're in Thailand. At least you exist. You're in Thailand, you just don't even exist in contenders. So of course he's going to move on, play Valorant, whatever. Goes to Champions in Valorant, one of the most exciting players on Jet. I mean,
yeah.
I think if Patty gets back to his old peak, I mean, that's pretty crazy. But I mean, it's just the problem with the Glads is they're 2 out of 3 DPS. They have to bank on trying to hit their old peaks.
Yes,
and that's kind of scary. What I'll say is, like, I think Arns can still carry on Widow. The problem with Arns isn't that he's maybe not as good as he was in 2020. I also think his heroes are not as good as they were in 2020. Widow in particular. Widow, ever since she got that 175 HP nerf, she's been so much worse as a hero. I've tuned into Arns' streams every now and then. His mechanics, I think, are still good. When he goes on Widowmaker, the guy still pops off, even though Widowmaker's way weaker. I think I don't like his other picks as much as I like his Widow, which is maybe an obvious thing to say, but no, I don't think I rated his other hit scans that highly. I think he's, if we find another Widowmaker meta, if Widowmaker is good in Overwatch 2, I fully expect that Arns can carry the shit out of this team on that hero.
You can give him like an Ashe, and it's good. Like, well above average, statistically performed well. Like, it was good. Outside of that, it is shallow.
Because
Just is.
I mean, this is where you ask the question. Is like, I mean, Yiska kind of brought this up, but if we're talking about peak, Arns is there. But if we're talking about more consistency, maybe they could have gone for like Happy instead. You know, Happy was available. Who
We
else?
tried to get Kai. Maybe I'm not sure if he was free.
I don't think he was available. I don't think
that
he was
would be a
available.
pick.
Okay.
But I don't think Atlanta's
mean,
let him go.
Yaki was available if they wanted to steal him.
That's real talk. Like, do you take Yaki or Ans? Do you take or Yaki's a special case. It's not really remotely the same. But do you take Patiphan or Pelican or something like this? Right? Like those people are available.
You probably should take Pelican.
Hypothetically, yeah.
Unfortunately,
if they were on the same market, same timeline.
They were on the same market. Unfortunately for Patiphan, you would take Pelican over Patty, 100%. So I don't know what happened there.
I think
I don't know if they went for him.
It's just like the connection to Piggy. I'm pretty sure. Like they're very good friends.
I have to imagine Glads both pay better and have a stronger team on paper. So I mean, brother, Piggy better be like your godfather or some shit because you're giving up a lot to just be with Piggy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
You better be getting married to Piggy, no prenup to go with that option. Just saying. Like, fuck me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think there probably were better options.
Mm-hmm.
But they went with who they went with. I mean, this is an interesting thing as well. You guys will remember when DPay was talking about this some time ago, and he's like, okay, yeah, Glads have money, but it's not like they can just get any player they want.
True.
Because even if they have money, you can throw a bag at a player and they will still decline you for whatever reason. And that's what DPay said about roster building.
Mm-hmm.
I think coming from 2020 to 2021, he's saying it's not just like, oh, we didn't give people good offers. It's like even after giving good offers, they still decline. So what do you do? Yeah, what do you do? I don't know.
Let's be honest. Like the way it felt like that there was some tension, I guess, in the off season. I could totally see that being built up by. Okay, wow. Let me be very. I don't know, right? But like, if you're frustrated with off season, how it's going, maybe it is just missing on a couple of those, right? So.
Yeah, I think DPay this offseason also complained about maybe Glad's not moving fast enough on certain players or positions. So that was a cause for his personal dissatisfaction with the Glad's management, which eventually led to him leaving.
Yeah.
I don't actually know. I'm just kind of reading between the lines here. This is how you know when I know something, when I don't know something. When I don't know something, I try really hard to read between the lines. When I actually know something, I just don't say it, or like I just give you a bullshit answer because I actually know the real answer. But no, I don't know. I'm trying to speculate. I don't know what could have happened. I just imagine, maybe they went for Pelican, but Houston got there first, and Glads couldn't get their shit together to put together an offer, and then they fucked up. Who knows? That could have been it.
It's not the end of the world, but that's what it feels like for sure.
So where do we place this DPS realistically? Really quick, we have to move on. But this is not a mid DPS. Surely this is not a mid. This is way above mid, right?
It's a good DPS. Like this is a DPS line that like should be in contention for like stage playoffs. Could probably contend for titles. Like this is a team. Like this is a trio that can compete. As much as like I can't clock Patty. I just can't right now. But I trust in this coaching staff and believe that like they see something there. So that has some weight. Yeah, I think it's a good DPS lineup, but I think I'm definitely jumping in front of the train of this community narrative. Like this is like a world beating DPS lineup. I just don't see that.
It's a DPS lineup that has the potential for first.
Yes.
But also the potential to just be
big spike.
Not good.
Five.
Not good, but just below where you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Reiner space. So I don't know a lot about Reiner. I know he used to run by Frill and Shape.
Yep.
He's had a few names. Played on AT. Played on Redbird.
Mm-hmm.
Huge history of winning in Contenders.
Yeah.
Space is space. I mean, space needs no introduction, really.
No.
Obvious franchise player for the LA Gladiators. He's like the face of the team. He is the longest serving member on this team. One of their best players as well. main tank, off tank. They cover all the positions. Is Reiner an upgrade to Muse? We'll start there.
I would say yes.
By the way, it's kind of crazy that Space got to be the franchise player of the LA Gladiators after having been with the other LA team since like being 17.
Yeah. I almost forget. You almost forget he was on the Valiant.
Mm-hmm. But, it doesn't feel. It feels so far in the past that like it doesn't. It's not like the immediate thing that you recall. I think Space is going to be fantastic. So I have a lot of. Go ahead.
Did they upgrade? Did they upgrade the tank line?
I would say yes. I would say that Muse had a lot of deficiencies as much as they kind of gambled and won on like the early like dive ending meta, which plays directly into Muse's wheelhouse. And I thought he was good at that. But I think Reiner is a more well-rounded main tank and is of a breed of player who I think can bridge the gap, is probably one of the only main tanks. Western main tank, let me clarify. Western main tank that can probably bridge the gap and be like a good tank player. I'm of the opinion that I think in a post-Wrecking Ball world, any main tank that can survive is probably like more flexible than he leads on. And I've heard as much talking to some of the NA guys. So I have a lot of like faith in Reiner. I think he's going to be kind of a project player and probably should see some starting play.
I'll also comment real quick because I said that Skewed was a gamble win for Face, but I think Muse might have been a gamble loss. In the same regard, right? So it does come and go. That does mean that Patty is obviously a gamble, as we've all alluded to. I mean, we know that. Mm-hmm. Where do I think this tank line rates? God, I'm thinking definitely top 4, maybe even a top 3 tank line.
Yeah.
In NA.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
Above Kaluj solo tank. Below Fearless Harbin.
Yep.
Maybe pretty equal to Gator Hawk. The more I think about it, pretty equal. I have them above Piggy.
Yep.
Above Kelly or Samag. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty highly rated tank line. I'm going to be real with you. Mm-hmm. A lot of that is my confidence in Space and the fact that I know Reiner had a lot of success in Tier 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Any other thoughts?
No, I agree with this. I think like Reiner is the player that just necessarily slots into what your kind of issues you face with Muse. I think they won't have a Ryan.
He's got
issue.
Ryan in his name. They're like we gotta get a Ryan player. Oh, this is a guy with Ryan in his name. We gotta get that guy.
Yep. Of course, also
the only other player you could get with Ryan in his name is Reinforce.
True.
Yeah.
So the option was Reinforce or Reiner. So you gotta get Ryan on your team.
Yep. No, I think that's a really good front line. I think what I'm kind of interested in, I when I interviewed Hydron, I asked him like who of the AT players will have the most trouble like acclimating to the Overwatch League and who will have the most trouble like when it goes bad, and he said like Reiner without skipping a beat. Like
it's because of his personality, it's because of his attitude.
Yeah. Yeah, dude's a chat.
A bit of a hothead. Bit of a hot-headed player, I think.
Yeah. But in a fun way, I think. More so than an annoying way.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, that coaching staff would have to rein him in. It wouldn't be too hard. You just bench him for Space and then see what happens. But
you've got to be on your best behavior, bro. You're playing against a franchise player and you wanted some playtime.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is one of those situations where, this is the best season to deal with troublesome tank players because it's like, if you want to be a dickhead, and we're just going to bench you for the other guy. It's that simple.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, you wouldn't want your debut season looking that way. So, and you're on one of the best teams as well. So you need to bring your A game. It's a high expectation, Yeah. You've joined a Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes level team here. So you need there's some high expectations for output.
For sure.
And tell you what, Ferrari's doing good this year, so it's a good sign. Let's move on to supports. Funny Astro, True Skewed. Upgrade?
I have a hot take.
Upgrade, side grade. I mean, you've replaced Moth. I mean, Moth is already fucking insane.
Yep.
Kind of just side graded, maybe.
I would agree that it's kind of just like a side grade. I think you have a good piece in Funny Astro. been very high on Shu for God knows how long, so I don't think I need to really kind of comment there. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to think about Skewed, because everything that we've heard about supports, like, I feel like he just isn't gonna play. Unless there's like a double flex again. Like that's like the obvious way in. I don't think that
Or
like,
meta.
but is
If
Brig
Brig's
gonna be
in.
the same?
Well, no,
Like,
but
is she gonna play the same that like we remember him being so good at?
probably not going to have a stun anymore. But aside from that, Brig is still Brig. Rally is probably still the best ultimate of the game.
Yeah.
It's still stack healing. It's still one of the best dive and anti-dive supports.
Would assume
I
so.
would roll Skewed out. I think Funny Astro is likely to get game time.
I'm kind of assuming he's probably gonna be the starter.
Depending on the meta. It really depends on the meta.
Yeah. There are more metas where I think he fits, where Skewed is like very specialized. I look at the maps. I
Problem
look at how
is, the only overlap that I see is literally in the why am I struggling? Brig. Just talked about Brig and I'm sure there's only in the Brig. And if you want to pick a Brig player, well, there's a couple of things you got to think about. One, who's a better Brig player, but second of all, like, what do you want that Brig player to flex into throughout
Sure.
the map if you plan to change comps? So do you want a Brig that can go into a flex support or a Brig that can go into Lucio or Mercy? That's the decision you got to make. So again, depending on meta, somebody will be playing somebody with bench. I mean, that doesn't say a lot, but it does say that it shouldn't be another Moth situation. Is what I'm trying to say.
No, yeah, 100%. Like this is going to be a more like fluid role for the Gladiators. As much as like I've jumped in front of that. To kind of use that logic though of like what meta historically has been more prevalent, a double flex or a flex and a main support? It feels to me
Skewed Brig is main support, so he does cover that.
Agreed. He covers one hero in that position.
One of the most important ones, to be fair, as well.
Yes, and one of the most modern. Agreed. I have no qualms there whatsoever. But when I look at how new this game is, when I look at how much flexibility and maybe even like compositional flexibility you're going to be on the map, on maybe even the point, we don't even know what this new game mode's even going to play like as of yet.
I figured it out.
I say Astra.
I say Astra if they're playing Rhino. If they're playing Space, they play Skewed. Because of how the pairing works in terms of compositions you can run.
Sure.
Rhino's there to play Orion. Again, it's in his name. He's there to play Orion. If you're going to play Ryan, you got to play Funny Astro because you're going to play Lucio. If you're playing Space, you're probably not playing Ryan. You're probably going to be playing Dive Tanks, maybe Rosario at the most. You're going to play Skewed, most likely. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a potential thing to look at.
That's kind of an interesting point.
I do wonder, though, is Funny Astro an upgrade, a downgrade, or a side grade to Moth? And I have a follow up to this. As there's a reason why I'm asking this. Where do we?
I would say upgrade.
Okay, because my follow up question was, if he's not a clear upgrade, why even get rid of Moth? It feels like Moth could have just stayed on this roster, right?
Yeah.
So,
No, I never rated his Brig all that high. Am I wrong in saying that?
Moths?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I didn't get to see it. Didn't get to see it because Skewed was playing it the whole time.
True. But I feel like there were times on Shock where like that was called upon and it just wasn't like notable. Whereas like obviously Skewed was very notable. Like Astro was, at least.
So they made the right call.
I would say so.
To get Funny Astro instead of Moth.
Yeah.
That's what we're landing on.
Funny Astro is legitimately, I believe. Am I missing someone obvious? He's probably the only Lucio that I would not feel totally handicapped when I'm playing against Lee Jagon. Like he's mechanically up there.
Yeah.
And then I can't think of a name that inspires the same confidence in me in that regard. I think he's legitimately just like the second best or 1A, 1B Lucio.
Yeah. Agreed. And like he's not even like serviceable like that. I think that's an understatement. Like I think he's just good at like the rest of the main support pool. And yeah, I think he's just like the safest bet that you can put into a lineup. And I don't think you're ever going to be like upset at Funny Astro for something. For sure. Yeah, I like it a lot. I like this backline.
has a lot of experience in a mixed team as well.
Mm.
Literally been to Korea. He went to Korea.
It's competing for the best backline in NA, right? Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Well, just overall.
Yeah.
Like, call me crazy, but I like this backline more than I like Chengdu's backline.
Do you
And
like it more
that's a
than
wild thing to say.
Izayaki Lee Jae-gon?
No, I don't. But I like it more than Creative Indime. I like it more than Super Rich Irony. I like it more than Fixer Aim. I think outside of Izayaki, Lee Jae-gon and Bebe, Gladsev, the closest backline to the Shanghai Dragons
I agree.
backline.
Yes.
I would say so.
The only other backline that could be really good is Field of Chio, but
yeah,
I mean that could just be that.
Or Twilight
Field of Chio
Chorong.
might be. Oh yeah, Chorong Twilight as well. Fuck. I like them more than OG Ultraviolet. I like them more than Chorong Twilight. I like them more than Chio Fielder currently.
Yep.
True skewed, funny Astro. You have MVP candidate and role star on this team in the form of Shu. Yeah, it's crazy good. I like this. I think they could be the second best support line in the entire world, if not maybe even competing for best.
Yeah, would agree.
So that is by far the best part of their team is that support line, and that's considering how good the other two lines are.
Yeah.
So that all up, we might as well cover the changing of the guard for the guard being parent organization, changing the guard for the coach line here. Face unto Smash. People for some reason, I gotta just clear something up. People for some reason think when they talk about Face come in and it's like, oh, they got a brand new head coach. I'm like, guys, Face has been with this team since 2020. This is his third season with the Glance. He's not new.
No.
This is not. They didn't just grab some. I think Face is, because the thing is, Face is not very public as far as being a figure on the team. Deepay was that guy. He does all the interviews. His face is on there. He streams. He shoulder gates people. Like, he's out there. He puts himself out there. Face is really behind the scenes, right? So when Face joins, when Face comes in as a head coach, people like legitimately thought he was just some new guy who's never been part of the team without realizing he's been here since season 3, for fuck's sake. So people are like, oh man, it's gonna be a whole new coaching structure for the LA Gladiators. I'm like, is it? The head coach is the same guy who's been here since 2020, is it?
I guess.
Okay, you got Unter and Smash, but people acting like it's going to be a completely different experience. I'm like, I just don't think it is.
Yeah.
Like, people just not giving Face credit. It's just kind of annoying.
I think like what you could say about Face is despite like Sydney Dropbears, I don't think he has been a head coach.
Talon?
No, he wasn't a head coach at Talent. I thought so as well, but he wasn't.
Well, okay, so you worked under Arachne, but I think the thing to remember about Talon, because I know Talon a little bit better in terms of that era, 2019. From what I could see and tell, I felt like he was more active than Arachne as far as the coaching goes.
Sure.
I feel like this is the sort of situation where you look at like a Shanghai, where, okay, Moon is like the head coach, but I feel like in terms of how active they are in how their team performs, I feel like the other coaches probably do a little bit more there. It's kind of like the O2 boss and the rest of O2 situation, right? Which leads into my point about Smash, which is another coach coming in as their assistant. Smash assistant coach on O2 Blast that led them to a year of success last year. An unmitigatable success, just a humongous success, domination of the region. So, I mean, I think Face is more than. I think I'm biased because I know him, because I know what he does. I've have a lot of history there, and I've seen what he can do with teams, and I know that players respect him, and that he's got a good head on his shoulders.
Sure.
Doesn't have any hair, but the head is good. He loves it. He knows he's bald. He doesn't mind. He had to make space for more brain matter, so he had to clear out a bit of space.
There you go.
Unter's speaks for himself. I think everyone holds Unter in pretty high regard because he was very active on Atlanta Reign, even though so there's a couple of things here. I think people probably overrate Unter and underrate Face. Overrate in the sense that I'm not saying Unter is not good, but I think people thought Unter on Reign was like some mind-blowing, unbelievable factor, and like, oh, Unter joined the team and they were suddenly good. It's like, no, He was there since the start. He was on the reign since Melee, day one. He didn't just magically turn the team around. He was there the whole fucking time. This has been clearly debunked. Like, all this entire, like, Unter narrative, it's just been completely debunked by both Unter and his players and Sephi. So in that sense, he is overrated, but he's still very, very good. He's rated correctly in the sense that he's good, but he's overrated in the sense that there's a fan narrative that he was like
he's some sort of miracle worker.
He is all of Atlanta Reigner there, nothing without him. That's just not true. And then Face is underrated because people just like fail to acknowledge he even existed on this team. And I think a lot of fans don't even realize who Smash is because they're just not aware of the rest of the staff on O2, I guess. I don't know. But I feel like I have a lot of confidence in this coaching line because I know what every single person on this team brings to the table.
Yep. I mean, you look at the track record for everybody, just period. Like, let's argue at the lowest common denominator. You look at Face, I think he's done a lot with very little. I think I trust the Glad's like gatekeeping in the way, like of choosing, of scouting, potential leaders and coaches. I think they've done a good job. And you look at Unter, you look at his success, you look at Face, his success, you look at Smash, his success. Like, if you're gonna argue from results, at the very least, this is a good coaching lineup, period. Like, even if you have like a question of like, oh, okay, like, can Face, like, is Face's role gonna change so much that like he may struggle? Probably not, if I'm gonna be completely honest. But even if you want to hold that, if you want to take that L, that's fine. The success should speak otherwise, at the very least.
Okay. Let's head over to how we rate this roster. I might as well go first again. I did it last time. I'm just trying to even things out a little bit. 1 to 3 in NA. And I think anything below 3 would be a bit of a failure for this team based on the roster quality. Just looking at across the board.
Yeah.
I think the Gladiators and Dallas will have an interesting duel. And that third position could go to anyone between Shock, Rain, fuck it, even New York if they're just like monstrous, like
sure.
They get the perfect meta, something like that. Maybe Toronto if they're just monstrous, but yeah, I don't know. They're definitely top, like really, really, actually, even top 2, maybe 1-2. Is that crazy? 1-2, 1-2. There should be
I don't
first
think
or
it's
second in NA.
Crazy.
Because the more I think about it, I'm like, who's third? Third is like maybe Atlanta.
It's tough, yeah.
I'm like, well, Glad should be better than Atlanta, so why am I putting them third? No, they should be 1-2 then.
They have those peaks. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think they can be, and they probably should be with like the name recognition on paper. But I hold firm that I think the DPS players for a lot of these teams will kind of indicate how strong or like their end of season performance. And I think there is a clear number 1 team in NA. So I think that the Glads are probably going to be anywhere from 2 to 4 personally.
You see them going down as far as 4?
Yeah.
So outside of Dallas, who are the other 2 teams that could beat the Glads?
Definitely Atlanta has possibilities. Definitely Shock could. I think they're one of those spiky teams that I could see unseating Dallas as like a clear top 1. There's just go ahead.
Can I fight you on that Shock? Right,
sure.
Matchup, because I think Arns is better than Kilo. Even a middle tier Arns. I mean, they're both. Here's the problem: if you anyone that wants to use the argument of like, oh yeah, Arns, he has peaks and troughs, motherfucker, that's Kilo as well. You cannot talk about Kilo like he's so consistent when he's literally Arns but with like a less peak. So let's just put that on the table. Kev's to proper, dude. I'm the guy that started the whole proper hype train. I'll be the first to admit that I was that guy.
Sure.
But he is still coming up against literal MVP candidates plus role stars like Kevster. I mean, that's a pretty fucking tough battle. So you don't even have the proper just shits on everybody buff because Kevster's on the other side, so it's not guaranteed.
Sure.
Space better than Kaluj. I don't really particularly care about the Sam comparison. We'll leave them out of this one. Finn Violet. Not convinced that they're better than Funny Astro Shoe Skewed. So I don't have anybody on Shock better than anybody on Glads, to be honest with you.
I think that's fair. I am not of the opinion that I think Ons is going to be like. I agree that if Kilo has those same peaks and troughs, like that's a fair comparison. I would trust those rookies than somebody or two people rather who haven't actively been in or even actively been playing and like high level scrimming competitive Overwatch. Is that too obscene to say? You're taking two people from Contenders and two people from Valorant.
Who's
I don't
two people
trust.
from Valorant?
Where did Ons just come from?
Well, he just came from the San Francisco Shock.
Well, like recently though.
Well, he was more recently on the San Francisco Shock than he was on Valorant.
He wasn't on T1 like months ago?
He left T1 to join the Shock partway through last year. So he was more recent. He played more Overwatch last year than he did Valorant. So
maybe my timelines are fucked up. That could just be me.
I don't hold up the whole Valorant thing for Iron very much at the moment, just because it's such a short-lived part of his career.
Sure, but even then, you're taking somebody who's been like 100% in Overwatch and somebody who kind of hasn't.
I've seen both Arns and Kilo play. I think, and that's recently as well. I still have Arns.
Sure, and like that's your angle, and I just disagree. I think that I don't trust Ons as much as you do. I definitely don't trust Patty. And yeah, I don't know. I think Shock can compete. I think Atlanta can compete. I think New York has the potential to compete. I put DPS at a premium. I like Kevster. I don't like the other two. I think they're going to be good, going to be contending for a title. I don't think they're better than Dallas, like, or they could maybe even peak. No, they can like peak at 1. I think that's fair to say. I think I'll budge there. I'll say 1 to 4 for sure. I'll lock that in.
Yiska?
Yeah, I don't think like Dallas is as locked into 1 as you guys appear to think. I think Glads could.
I haven't locked them in. I said Glads 1, 2. It could be either or, but yeah.
Yeah, I think like Glads. Second globally, dude.
Second globally after Shanghai.
I think so.
So you have them at 1, 2, but global, not NA.
Yes.
Ooh. Sheesh. Oh man.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. The problem is well, they could be better than Chengdu Seoul. They could be. It's possible. I did say I liked Funny Astro Shoe Skewed better than Creative Vindime or the host of Chengdu supports they have. And look, the Chengdu supports are great. I just, you know, 4 of them, and I think they have less peaks, definitely than Shoe Skewed. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of still tilted by the whole Yveltal drama from last year. That still rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
So I'm down on their support line based on that.
I think based on name recognition of almost everyone participating in this roster, if they were to finish outside top 4 in A, that's a big upset for me. Like
I said
upset.
top 3. I said they're top 3. If they fail to make top 3, I'm already up. That's bad for me.
Yeah.
I said lowest 3, but realistically 1, 2.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. I mean, you know, maybe something goes wrong, and Shock come out and Proper is literally Faker, and then he just hard defs everybody, including Kefster and Leave, and then it's like, wow, I guess this guy's just God. What do you do?
Yeah.
Then fuck it, you know, I guess that's just how it is. But hard to see them, in my opinion, losing to too many teams here. It doesn't mean that I think they're infallible. I think maybe a Houston could take a game off them. Atlanta might be able to scrape something through. Atlanta have been their bogey team for a while. I think that's a huge rivalry, Atlanta and Glads. I think that's one of Glad's primary rivalries is versus Atlanta, because of the shared history between those two teams. But I think overall, when you get to the end of the season standings, I expect Glads to be either first or second in North America, and probably top 4 global, if not top 5 global. Cool.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Feeling good about Glads. As every Gladiators fan, every single year should feel good about it. The real test will obviously be when the season starts. We'll see how things actually go.